Tuning you in now to the LBX Show with your host, Brandon Wiley. Brought to you by the LBX Collective, your community to connect, engage, and inspire.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the LBX Show for October 5th, 2025. This is the Waukesha, Wisconsin Panera Bread Company special edition. I don't know. So we have a great show lined up for you today. And I guess we'll dive right into a relatively robust news you should know. As then we'll close out. We'll close out with Open and Shut with Kevin Williams. So it's a pretty short show, but it's going to be a good one. So let's dive right into some news you should know. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about actually is really timely because this deadline is fast approaching, and this is the IAAPA Brass Ring Excellence Awards. This is, if you guys are familiar with IAAPA, obviously we got the big expo coming up here, and they used to give away the Brass Ring Awards at the expo. They're not going to do that. They now have an IAAPA Honors event that happens in the spring, and it travels around the world, and so, but this is a big deal, right? So I've had the pleasure of being awarded a brass ring for Best New Product back in 2017, and I'm hoping to apply it, hoping to get another one this year, but we'll see how that works out. But this specifically what I talk about is for the Brass Ring Excellence Awards for the top FEC and top LBE of the Year awards. Those are actually two different awards. They do classify FECs and LBEs differently. And so just as a quick definition, here what a brass ring award is, it basically is named for the brass rings given to carousel riders at the very first amusement parks. So the brass ring award is kind of a symbol of achievement, and it's how a ring is an unbreakable connection. They say so too are our connections as a community, bringing out the best in one another. So that's the reason behind the brass ring name. And it basically aims to recognize and honor all the hard work and commitment that goes into the attractions industry. They do it from productions to food and beverage and to marketing efforts and actually venues, right? So there's a lot of different brass rings awards. The two though that we're talking about here is the FEC and the LBE award. It basically honors the top family entertainment center, the top location-based entertainment facilities for overall excellence in guest service, guest experience, cleanliness, attractions. Includes food and beverage if applicable, because not every place has food and beverage, but theming, special events, commitment to safety, and more. And so there's a whole set of criteria. You can visit IAAPA.org, their website, that's IAAPA.org. But I want to talk about the definitions between the two. So Family Entertainment Center, according to IAAPA, they consider an activity-based permanent facilities catering primarily, although not exclusively, to families featuring a mix of attractions, arcade, redemption, and F&B, as well as other offerings like go-karts, laser tag, bowling, roller skating, and more. And they say typically there's not a gated entry fee and activities are pay to play. So that is how they define it in a family entertainment center. There's modifications. I would probably make that definition, but that's fine. It's good enough for this purposes. And then location-based entertainment are immersive experiences. I don't like that they specify LBE being exclusively immersive experiences, but that's fine. Catering primarily, though not exclusively, to adults. Again, don't like that. They often incorporate novel activities or standalone activities such as axe throwing, mini golf, virtual reality, and or esports, F&B, and retail. LBEs focus on one or in some cases multiple of these activities, may have a gated admission, or a booking admission, right? I mean, it's just a term that they use is gated. Anyway, you probably have some different definitions there, and I would actually put the FEC category inside of LBE and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, that's fine. But if you fall into one of those two categories, which pretty much everybody that's going to be listening to this show anyway, is going to fall into one of those two categories if you're an operator or you have a location. So definitely highly recommend that you get there and apply, because the deadline is literally coming up in less than 2 weeks. So October 14th is the deadline. I may have the exact date wrong, but it is right there in that range. So definitely get in there and apply immediately. So it is not something you can do in one day. I mean, unless you just have tons of video and photos and everything else all ready to go. This is not something you can do in one day. It's definitely going to take a few days, going to take some work and some effort to put this thing together, this package, but I can guarantee you it is absolutely worth it. Many of my good friends in the industry have won over the years this Brass Ring Excellence Awards. I am not a judge this year. I have been in the past, for past years, but this has been something I've been doing for a long time, and I'm not a judge this year, so I have nothing, I can't have any influence. So just get out there and get rolling. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is a Supreme Court ruling. So the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania, U.S. So in Pennsylvania, U.S., of course, the U.S. Pennsylvania. The Supreme Court in Pennsylvania has ruled that parents cannot waive a minor's right to sue. And they basically were affirming that signing a waiver at a trampoline or an adventure park does not bind a child to arbitration, which is what most waivers do, right? They try to drive to arbitration, bind them to arbitration. So you go through that process versus through a lawsuit or litigation process for injuries suffered. And this is based on two cases that were brought to the, ultimately came up to the U.S. To the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, by two cases in Timezone that were brought forward to that state court. So, this is a big deal, right? Obviously, these cases are going to significantly impact businesses that require liability waivers from parents. And, basically these children were injured, and the parents, ultimately said that, hey, just because we signed the waiver and we signed the waiver for our minors, like our minors are basically now being forced to waive their right for litigation and their right to sue because like I signed them, but they're like their own independent, people. Interesting, right? That's the ruling that the Supreme Court made, given some of the other things related to gender decisions that apparently courts decide that the kids can't decide to do, but yet they can decide they have the ability to litigate. So anyway, a little bit interesting that this is where Pennsylvania has landed. But FECs and trampoline parks will still be able to require visitors to sign a waiver. But it just means that certain clauses within the waiver will make them unenforceable against minor children or parents that didn't sign the waiver. So this is a big deal. And this is not a great win for the trampoline park or the adventure park industry, or frankly, even the karting industry, for example, right? So karting often requires waivers to be signed. Rock wall climbing, it requires waivers to be signed. There's a lot of different things within our industry that require waivers to be signed. And this ruling, at least in Pennsylvania, it's just in Pennsylvania now, but obviously there are other courts who look at this and other opportunities, and they'll look at this as precedent, and they'll try to push this forward into other states. And so this basically means, though, that any adventure type thing in the state of Pennsylvania is now has no enforceability for minors within their waivers. Obviously, they're still going to collect waivers because there's a lot of other benefits to waivers, especially around marketing. You're collecting email addresses and birth dates and everything else, and that gives you lots of options there. But this does shake up the industry a little bit in Pennsylvania. So it'd be really interesting to see, and definitely some news you should know, and definitely some news we'll continue to monitor and watch as things move forward here. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is a new adventure park. Now I know we have an open and shut thing, but there's a reason I'm talking about this, and you guys are going to, those of you who are regular listeners to the show, you're going to be like, okay, yeah, I get it, I know why we're talking about this. But basically, this is a new adventure park that is opening. Announced their grand opening. They just recently put out some press, and they are in Hurst, Texas, in the DFW Metroplex. So another adventure park in the DFW area. So now I think there's like 7,000 of them. But this one is designed. I was really excited because the way they described in the press release, I was really excited to go dig into them and check them out, and potentially even visit them next time I'm at the DFW, because they're designed, they say, from the ground up to be the future of indoor amusement parks. They blend cutting-edge technology, classic family fun, and stringent safety measures to create a first-class experience for parents and kids. Okay, sounds cool already. Combining next-gen VR tech with classic family fun and extensive safety measures. Which is basically another way of saying the exact same thing. But they say they have a hybrid mix of attractions that combine physical activity with immersive digital worlds, offering an array of attractions ranging from VR arenas to augmented reality trampolines to ropes courses, They basically cater to kids of all ages. And so I was like super excited to go check this out. They say they have different passes, including all access platinum passes, Tykes passes, family friendly parent passes, party packages, and then a food and beverage menu focused on simplicity and quality to enhance the entertainment experience. It's like, awesome. This place sounds cool. I want to check out, see what they've done to augment the trampoline experience. And, are they just using standard rugged stuff, or did they, maybe some Valo climb or Valo motion stuff, but did they do something different and totally unique and like custom built? And so I was really excited to go check a look. And so I went to their website, because they put out press. And so I'm like, okay, cool. And they actually even say in the press release to go visit their website to learn more. So I did. And I went to go visit their website, and their website is under construction. Please check back for an update soon. velexadventure.com. And so, even that's the website that's linked from their Google My Business profile. There's no fucking website. So it's a Squarespace website. It would have been really easy to just get something up there. I mean, like literally 2 hours, you could have had something basic up there with some pictures, but they didn't. So they put up press, didn't have a website, and this is about the stupidest thing you could possibly do. We've talked about this before. Do not, when you break ground, or you start doing work, you should have at least a basic website up so people can learn more and get more information with just a capture form. You don't have to have a robust website. You should have something there. That is an important thing. But by all means, by the time you're putting out press, certainly by the time you're getting ready for a grand opening and you're announcing your grand opening, have your goddamn website done. So this is a massive thing. I know this is my BW rant alert, but this is something that you should absolutely have. This is unacceptable. You do not go to press. You do not launch a new adventure park and announce a grand opening without having your base foundation from a marketing standpoint done. So this is news you should know. Do not ever do this. Your website is absolutely the foundation of your business. So absolutely highly recommend that you get your website up if you are launching a new park. All right. That is the rant for today. We'll dive right back into the next thing I want to talk about. All right. So this is a mini golf course in Mexico, Missouri called Spoons Bakery and Mini Golf. This is kind of awesome. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. It was an old mini golf course. It's been in the community for a long time in Mexico, Missouri. So, obviously small community, and they were sold to new owners in August, and they've spent a couple of months getting things redone. They've reopened now featuring an updated course. They improved and cleaned up the course, but they also opened up a bakery. And so they call it Spoons Bakery and Mini Golf. I'm not sure the spoons, maybe because you mix the batter with the spoon, I'm guessing here, but it was formerly Oasis Golf and Games. And so they opened their doors just this last week, September 27th, and they installed all this new equipment. And so they're keeping the mini golf course, obviously. And then they actually said in the summer they're bringing back. So what the previous thing had was some alcohol slushies. So they're bringing alcohol slushies back. So, make it more of a family fun summer vibe next summer. But they say they'll offer freshly baked goods with new products each week, including homemade cinnamon rolls. You can see some of them here, homemade cinnamon rolls and different bread varieties. And then they have a lotus drinks and coffees. I don't know what a lotus drink is, probably some sort of tea is my guess. But anyway, the original owners of Oasis Golf and Games said they didn't want to sell the business unless someone agreed to keep the mini golf open for the community. And so, you know what? Clearly the people who came in wanted to build a bakery, but they thought, okay, we'll keep the mini golf. And I just thought it was cool. You can combine anything, right? So, and in fact, actually, I would argue that this will do better as a bakery and mini golf than just a pure mini golf, like what Oasis Golf and Games was probably, right? So they probably took the arcade, maybe slimmed down the arcade a little bit in the main area and put in this bakery. And, here's a picture of the mini golf course as well. But the reason this is, you're going to come in, the bakery is going to actually probably be the primary business, but then you have the augmented per cap increase, for the mini golf, or if somebody's coming for the mini golf, then they're going to buy some baked goods to take home with them or to eat while they're there, or to get some drinks. And so it's just a way to make this thing more sustainable for a small community that can't necessarily support a lot of repeat visitation on the mini golf course. So anyway, thought it was cool, thought it was worth mentioning here. And that is news you should know. Coming up after the break, we'll dive right into the Open and Shut with Kevin Williams.
Intercart is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercart increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercart is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon.
Hey, a big hello to everyone. Hope we're finding you well. On the road again, Brandon.
Oh yeah, on the road, but just this time just enjoying some time with family in Wisconsin. So we're doing the best we can here with lighting and everything else. So I think we're ready to roll. Let's dive into it.
So let's go, and the openings continue. Not at the same whirlwind pace, but at least we're seeing a rollout of brand new concepts, along with chains expanding their operations. So to jump in, and we have the latest of the 5-iron golf facilities going into Ohio, 17,000 square, and this is the progression, the continuation of the move from their traditional simulator golf environment to now a FEC family entertainment bowling component. I think we've talked about the previous first of these, and now we have the next one. So this is a concerted effort to expand their operation.
Well, I mean, it's good that they are expanding into other attractions, to mix into their facilities. And we talk about this, although I think 5-iron has had success so far, actually being, at least we've seen externally anyway, success being just a golf sim place to hang out. But it is nice they're adding in some other attractions. The problem for me is just going to be a brand, right? Branding is still 5-iron golf. How are people going to expect to have darts and bowling and other multi-sport simulator games inside of a facility that says 5-iron golf? So I think that they're going to have to address that at some point. This is their main focus going forward.
The three components that I always point to for clients is, number one, work out that it's working. So we'll need to see the ROI to see that this pivot is a good pivot and that they picked the correct mix. I know they've made a lot about the mini duck pin bowling system that they have deployed. I look forward to trying that out myself. Their amusement mix is going to be important. And then, as you say, brand. If I say to someone, let's go to 5-irons golf, and they're not there for the golfing, then you have a problem. So I'm looking forward to seeing the golf being dropped and something else being added, but that's a personal opinion.
Yep.
Excuse me, our friends in Timezone are in Australia, Indonesia, India. Well, they continue their expansion and global reach. They've just opened a 10,000 square facility in India, adding to their mix. This one really does push the brand in this particular diaspora. This is their 69th Indian facility, which is an amazing number to have achieved after only starting their Indian push around 2012. The interesting thing for me regarding this is that I think that they found the right formula for their audience, and they're rolling this out at quite a pace now. We also have their Indonesian business. And again, they've dropped in a 10,000 square foot facility into, again, a mall-based location, something I see a lot with these particular time zones, that they're not going into standalone sites, but they are going into mall locations.
I mean, it is wild to me at how fast these guys are expanding. They really were just a heavy Australia-based group for a long time, and then have now expanded obviously into these other markets really aggressively. I think they're very quickly growing to the size of Chuck E. Cheese's international presence. Chuck E. Cheese has about 600 locations across 16 countries and territories internationally, not counting their locations here in the U.S. So they're moving very quickly, and not to say that they're a direct competitor to Chuck E. Cheese, but certainly some of the amusement arcade mix seems to be.
I would say the current version of Chuck E. Cheese isn't a competitor to Timezone, though I know from experience that their international franchise operation is sliding more towards a mule mixed-use leisure entertainment structure rather than just animatronics, pizza, and a little bit of redemption. That said, I think Timezone's franchise operation is on a much faster trajectory than GP's international at the moment. Moving on, and our friends at Meleap, the Japanese company that has the augmented reality player versus player game experience, or what they call next generation sport experience. The Japanese company has announced the opening of its latest Tokyo arena. So their arena system is just a floor space for the games to take place, excuse me, along with some merchandising area and some streaming area, because this particular sport has a very strong social media process. They are literally an esports augmented reality game experience. They have about 110 of these kinds of arenas dotted all over the country and planet. We have one here in England, they're in Europe, they're in North America. Obviously, they have a very strong Asian presence. The interesting thing to add to this is, of course, this is our Genda moment, because our friends at Genda have decided they're going to get involved with this, and they're actually dropping into this particular facility a test entertainment component, which comprises mini cranes and some prize machine systems. And depending on how well this experiment goes, I expect the 110 facilities to also be getting the Genda treatment.
Yeah, this is a facility, or this is an experience that I've wanted to try for a while. I am really curious to see how it feels to move around pretty aggressively. Well, I don't want to say aggressive, super aggressively, but we'll call it aggressively with these types of headsets on. Playing EVA for an extended period of time, which is fully VR, obviously not augmented reality, but playing that for a long, for 40 minutes, 45 minutes with that headset on. It's actually pretty exhausting. It's actually a fairly physical game. You're moving around quite a bit. So I'd be curious to see what it's like to experience this. Clearly, at 110 facilities, they've figured out their model, and it seems to be working, unless it's pure just expansion. But it does look interesting and does look enticing. And so I definitely want to check it out when I can get to one of their facilities.
I'll go into a little bit more detail about the HADO experience in the sound off later on, but I've had the pleasure of following the systems, and there are multiple systems that they have developed over the years since they launched, and I think they're a very interesting operation to watch, even with their 110 facilities, their championship games, their live streaming. Moving on, and a bit of a weird one here, Hits to Fit. It is a mixture of fitness and entertainment facility in Poland. They have a dedicated facility set up, but along with their fitness components, they've added the bowling, shuffleboard, the trampolines, and even the virtual reality. I'm not sure if this is going to be part of a chain, or if this is a one-off in Poland, which they're trying to establish themselves. The only problem I had was the AI-generated art all across their webpage, which made me a little bit nauseous. But these are the breaks.
Yeah, again, we've talked about this before. If you go and just take real pictures in your facility, go hire some kids, some families. I mean, this stuff exists anywhere in any market. There's a whole market for those, and you can just go and get those people in, bring in a photographer, take real pictures, and don't go with AI. It throws everything off, from people's expectations in your facility. I mean, anybody looking at that image of the kids that you have here on the screen with the bowling balls in their hand is going to know immediately that is AI. No kid can hold a bowling ball like they're going to bounce it like a basketball. So.
I suppose the most obvious is they're pointing in the wrong direction.
Well, yeah, I mean, but maybe, look, we've been in bowling, we've talked about that. We've been in bowling lanes where they're in both sides. So maybe they're like, lining up to, or maybe they're just going to throw it at their kids.
It's
no, it's pure slop. Yeah, and it's slop all over their website, frankly, and that again shouldn't happen when you have go-karts, for example, and it looks like the go-karts are racing down a NASCAR track. That's like clearly not real karting experience. So get it right.
Let's move on from the schlop, shall we? Our friends at Andretti's, who do take real pictures of their experiences, have rolled out their latest facility, bringing up to 12 sites now in Kansas, 84,000 square, a proven formula of their multi-level karting track, but they also include their amusement component, their virtual reality and simulator, and this one has laser tag as well, along with bowling. So it is a pure mule now. To call it a karting facility is to underplay the full rigor of what these facilities offer. Andretti's is an interesting one at the moment because of the family structure of the operation and what they're going through regarding their management operation. So again, they're plowing forward, rolling out new facilities, but I also know that they are looking to restructure their operation to move forward with this expansion.
Yeah, I will say just one quick note here. I think it's very smart of them, even though the Johnson County location isn't. Yeah, well, I shouldn't say that isn't the Johnson County location, but they have a full packed parking lot that they took a picture of to send out in their press release, and so that is brilliant. So well played, Andretti.
Yeah, I couldn't work out if they were using the artist's rendering and then dropping in AI.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know, because it does look like an artist rendering in the background. Like, that's why I'm like, I don't know if that's the real facility with real clouds. Maybe it is, but either way, well done. By putting all the cars in there.
Yeah, a packed venue, even though it's just opening.
Yeah.
An unusual karting experience. I've touched upon it before in Sound Off about how Technology XR is brokering a new age for the karting experience. Well, we've had the electric karting systems. Now we have the pedal-powered karting systems being supported by augmented reality. And KartX is a Spanish operation. They have their first facility opened, and really their facility, all it requires is a floor space of 500 square meters, and you can have 10 people pedaling around within their virtual reality experience. Now this, we have to be clear, is a virtual reality experience, not a mixed reality experience, as some people have mistakenly called this. You are totally immersed within the virtual environment while you're pedaling around. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about where this technology fits in, especially following some of the developments we saw at IALPA Europe.
Yeah, I mean, this like, look, as maybe just a pop-up experience, I could see something like this run by Fever for 3 to 6 months in different locations, let's say in the US market. I know this is in Spain, but this is not a long-term sustainable experience. It just isn't. But it looks very similar to what Dream Park was doing with one of their locations. Is it the same pedal kart, same tech, or is this something entirely different?
Dream Park system is their own bespoke technology and their own bespoke or sourced pedal kart unit. But you're quite right; they bear strong similarity, and I'll go into that a little bit more in Sound Off. Moving on, and Dreamscape. Australian operation. They have 3 facilities open. They've just announced that their Victoria facility has now been expanded upon. So they've seen proven success with the initial Dreamscape concept, and now they're adding something called Dream Race to the experience, which comprises some social entertainment elements such as mini golf, but also it has some virtual reality experiences, as well as an AR attraction, which they don't go into too much detail on, but I assume it's the usual off-the-shelf Chinese AR systems that they've managed to get their hands on. From looking at the design work and wandering around the facility virtually, it looks quite nice, and I hope that the Dreamscape operation can roll out more of this type of facility.
Yeah, the Dream Ronin. So they actually have a couple of different attractions within the Dream Race section. They have Dream Ride, Dream Ronin, which is the like the active play. I would call it like this quasi like obstacle course / ninja course / like wipeout type scenario. But it looks like I don't know if they're running. If it's like tag active, but they've got some RFID wristbands and they're tapping different places. I don't know if it's a tag active platform or if it's something that they've developed unique to themselves, but that looks really compelling and pretty cool theming and design internally. Lots of really interesting lighting, and then they've actually got a DOF Hurricane ride in here too. Actually, a 6-seater DOF Hurricane. So I thought that was an odd mix to throw in there, but but the Hurricane is a great attraction. So. When
you're looking at VR attractions to put into a facility and you want to have an attraction, then the DOF system seems to be the platform of choice, as the company has been very successful in its installations. Again, this feels more like a mini mule, if I can start mixing the scaling here. And the Dreamscape company does seem pretty active. So 3 facilities. They hadn't popped up on my radar until the end of last year. But again, I don't follow the Australian market as much as I should because of it's Australia and it's a long way for me to travel.
Yeah.
Moving on to a place that I can actually touch and visit, and our friends at Clay's. So we've touched upon that Clay's has been rolling out more of their virtual shotgun experience, competitive socializing venues, and only a matter of days ago, they had their opening. Well, they've had a soft opening, but they had the VIP event for their Soho, London facility. I managed to be invited to this. It was an interesting evening. Everything worked well, service flawless. But again, I'm coming across, this is a single entertainment offering. If you don't want to do shotguns, then boo-hoo. This is all we got. And they've even split now into 2 types of shotgun experience. Again, this is a hard plug for the Sound Off. I will go into more detail of what our experience was like at the event in our Sound Off coverage. They made it clear that they have quite a active rollout plan scheduled, an international schedule, and they also hinted at some new developments regarding the whole scope of their operation. They have 4 facilities open at the moment. But again, this is kind of me feeling this is going to be the last of the single entertainment, social entertainment venue openings that I'm going to be attending, because most of them will now smell the coffee and have to add a secondary and tertiary element to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to have to be inevitable, especially for Clay's. But again, then you end up with a 5-iron type branding situation, right? So you've got this brand Clay's, and very specifically about virtual clay shooting, and then you add in other attractions or other socializing components, and now what do you do about your brand and your name? I think the one thing I'll say, and I'll hold any other comments about this into the Sound Off. So again, nice hard plug there, but the question I have is on the number of bays that they're putting into these locations. I think my concern is that 90% of the time, we'll call it 80% of the time, 80% of those bays are going to be empty. And then there'll be the times where maybe 10 of those 14 bays are filled, but they're still going to have some empty bays. And I understand you want some capacity. I almost wonder if, and I know that their aesthetics are really high, their CapEx to build out internally is high because of what they have internally. But I wonder, is it better to have a few extra or more locations, but with 5-7 bays, so it feels busier, feels more full, or again, like you were talking about, have 5 bays of Clay's, 5 bays of something else, and 5 bays of something else, and really have some opportunity for repeat visitation or some differentiation in your mix. But I feel like 14 bays is just too much. It's going to feel empty and underutilized the majority of the time.
we can go into this in more detail later on. Moving on, and we covered in a closing, open and shut, that the ZT Adventure Park in Texas had closed. It seems that it was a temporary close, and part of the entertainment mini theme park has been reopened under a brand new team, under a brand new brand, Jungle Jam Extreme. Someone lives in the 80s, and it's got a lot of the original attractions still operational but rethemed. It has an updated amusement component to it, as well as a young children's play environment. After 18 years of operation under the ZDT brand, to now bounce back under Jungle Jams, I don't know whether the management chain, as I said at the time, was due to they just wanted to move on and they found a willing buyer. But anyway, the new owners have taken on, and I hope that they also have over 18 years worth of operation at the site.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a little bit because I've been to this facility before. And so it'd be really interesting to understand if Jungle Jam Extreme has really just focused on the one main building where they have the arcade and amusement components and the soft play. And there's a few other things as well inside of the main building, because otherwise there's a roller coaster, there's some climbing walls on some like barn silos, and there's actually a water park out there as well. And so if they're trying to take on all of that, that's probably going to overwhelm them, and they probably will have run into the same problems ZDT's had. So if they're really just focused on the main amusement and soft play component, then yeah, I think they have some potential there.
One to add to our list when we do our Texas trip next year. Anyway, that is the roundup of the key operations that I've charted for this particular week. Still quite a lot of them out there. I'm interested also that we're kind of seeing not just a slowing, but a gradual recontextualizing of what is being offered from these entertainments. They're not just offering one type of flavor of experience. But anyway, I hope I haven't missed anything, Brandon.
Well, no, I don't think so. We covered plenty today, and sounds like, you know what, we've got to have everybody come listen to the sound off as we talk about some of this other stuff.
You have a good one.
Power up your game floor with Arcades by Allen One. Whether it's perfectly pouring drinks in Dr. Pepper Soda Slam, grabbing official Butts on Things plushies, or defending cities from attack and missile command recharge, Allen One has something for every venue and arcade floor that will delight your guests. Each game is also enhanced with Major League Esports, a free app that tracks player top scores and brings guests back to your venue for more. Visit allen-one.com to learn more. That's allen-one.com.
All right. Well, that is close to a wrap. We'll be back next week with a full show. We'll get Chuck DeMonte back. We'll get Adam Pratt back. So we'll have a full show, as well as we've got a couple of great guest gabs coming up over the next few weeks. So we're not going to obviously just cram them in all at once. For the next few weeks, we're going to have a couple of good guest gabs. Looking forward to some really cool conversations. And then we got Sound Off number 93 coming out with Kevin Williams on Tuesday, October 7th. So just in a couple of days. And then we also, if you didn't watch it this last week, so on Thursday, Thursday, October 2nd, we had a Behind Our Doors with Mike Whincup from Do the Beach, and it was really great. We had a great tour of the Do the Beach thing, and then Mike came on, and we asked some questions, and we talked and had a great discussion. So highly recommend going and checking out. This is a brand new franchise model, brand new layout, indoor inflatable, connected indoor inflatable experience, and really, really great job that they've done there. So highly recommend going and watching that Do the Beach. All right, well, that is a wrap for this week's LBX show. It's Brandon Wiley signing off. Stay tuned and keep kicking ass.